Cryptocurrency exchanges have expanded, providing platforms that allow customers to trade cryptocurrencies for other assets, including conventional currency and other digital currencies. But as with any financial vehicle, particularly one that is highly volatile and has garnered incredible public interest, there are opportunities for bad actors to defraud investors. As crypto scams and fraud become more common, it will continue to be crucial for whistleblowers to help the SEC, CFTC, and IRS with their enforcement efforts. Joining us to make sense of this is Humphrey Rabo, team lead Satoshi Online Bitcoin Miners. He joins us virtually from Canada. Good to have you join us today. Hello, good to have you join us today, Mr. Rabo.
Once again, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. Now, cryptocurrency fraud has become a dominant topic of discussion for, government enforcement agencies, with numerous prominent conference panels and also agency bulletins addressing its various forms, the hype versus the reality, and then the many ways it can facilitate fraud, and efforts to rein in its abuse. Talk to us. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, actually, it's just it's something that is very worrisome, and because of the lack of regulation, and a lot of players are just doing their things. When there is no law, everything goes. That's what is happening. We have among the players, genuine players who are there to make money and to make the industry.
Thanks to you for joining us again, and thank you, Mr. Rabo, for also joining us again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Now, I was asking you about cryptocurrency fraud, how that it has become a dominant topic of discussion for, government enforcement agencies and the likes. And I was asking you what your thought is.
Yeah, like I said, the lack of regulation and control is actually making the players to look at everything to look as if it is a place for everybody. And the Nigerian situation is not helping matter at all, because as I'm right here now, I have a couple of examples, and which I was even deeply involved. And we have the big players too, and the big players are not helping matters. And what some of them are doing is terrible. Just like the Nigerian banks that will say, okay, they are getting away with a lot of charges, and then nobody is talking. The same way the blockchain company, because the Nigerian government said it's a no-go area, and they look at the Nigerian investors as people they can deal with, because at the end of the day, they may not be able to prosecute to ask for what is theirs. I have quite a number of companies like that.
I was going to ask you that since Nigeria is already banned, from Nigerian banks are banned, from participating in cryptocurrency trading. Are Nigerians really at risk of these crimes? But it would seem that that's what is even aiding it. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, but somehow Nigerians were able to get around it without either involving the banks indirectly or going about, there's what we call peer-to-peer transaction. With that, it cut off the banks. And even the banks, there are some transactions they are doing that they don't even know it's crypto regulated, because you can't just be putting microscope on every transaction. You will get tired. Because it will involve you looking at every transaction to see whether this is crypto related or not. Crypto is so decentralized that people decide whether they want to exchange value.
Please go ahead. You were talking about how decentralized crypto is and how that it's left to people to decide how they want to exchange value. If you can hear me, do go ahead, please. All right, we're talking about cryptocurrency fraud, and we're looking at Nigeria right now. I mean, is it a threat in Nigeria? But of course, our guest has said that it's also a threat here, especially because, you know, we don't have, we may not be able to prosecute some of these frauds when they are discovered, and that's really a very big one. And my next question to him would be how this can be tackled, really. If you can hear me, do go ahead, please.
Yeah, because I mean, the industry is decentralized. You know, it has gotten to a stage where people, you know, decide whether to take fiat money or to take cryptocurrency. It is now between two individuals, the buyer and the seller. They decide. I'm here in Canada. I can decide. Okay, I don't even want Bitcoin. I want Ethereum. Or I can decide I don't even want Ethereum, I want Pi, or I can decide I don't want Pi, I can name any cryptocurrency I want. And it is now left for the other party to look for that currency, I mean, that cryptocurrency, and send it to me.
All right. Let me come in here.
Yeah.
You know, this is a volatile financial vehicle, and it has opportunities for bad actors as a result of this. Now, that being said, it will be important to let people in on the various forms that these frauds take. For example, let's talk about financial crimes. Let's talk about scam initial coin offerings, traditional theft, and broker-dealer fraud. Can you talk to us about some of these highlighted means of fraudulent activities?
Okay, let me start with the big one. Okay. Let's just say a company now is new. It's a new company, and it's floating. They are floating their exchange, and normally they will apply to the regulator. They just say UK. Most of them are actually UK. And what I discover is happening is that while the application is being processed, a lot of transactions, they keep on pushing on, because immediately they file the application and they go to their marketers who are already in. And one thing about FCA is this: once your application is on, being processed, you are allowed to trade. You are allowed to say, oh, my application is being processed. It's not as if they've actually accepted it, that you are regulated. You've applied, it will be acknowledged. And meanwhile, transaction is going on. Transaction is going. A lot of them, go through this, and after making so much money, because they will push their marketers in such they will give them a target that in which they have to make, and the marketers will go to the market and bring in a lot of transaction. Meanwhile, the application is being processed. Maybe at the end of the day, the application will not go through. What happens? They go under.
So what about the regulatory agencies? Aren't they supposed to, stop this from happening? For example, if you've applied and you've not been put on board, you shouldn't be trading, should you?
Well, I think that's where the regulator have to step in and say, okay, until...
Yes, you were saying something. Do go ahead if you can hear me. All right, I guess that's a connection issue right there. But we're looking at how really we can address the fraud going on in the digital asset space. So go ahead.
There's what CBN said about cryptocurrency. You are a company coming in and you are introducing cryptocurrency. And you are going, actually they registered before I came in. And what I mean by registration, they registered the company, CAC, and that's the first leg. The second leg is for them to register with SEC to be a capital market participant. And by SEC regulation, if you are an external company coming in, you will be allowed to, play in the market for at least 1 year, so that you get used to the market and see whether it is a market you are comfortable with. Because it's a good rule, because we have seen cases where the company come and they discover that the Nigerian market, we can't say, this is not well with, and they go. So there is that 1 year gap. So meanwhile, before, definitely there are, the transaction is going on while the application is being processed. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that goes with, the UK, the FCA in UK. while your application is being processed, you are allowed to, to do transactions. It is allowed. But with scamming going on, which at the end of the day, if their application is not approved, they just go under and disappear with people's money. I think the regulator have to step in and put some control into place. A lot of them have gone through this way, and they know that's the normal thing. They know at the end of the day, they may not likely even get the approval, and they are just using it, just the same set of people, different names, just round and round and round the same sector.
All right. And in closing now, how should the investing public, stay alert?
Yeah, they have to be aware of the brokers or those who are, who are already regulated. Not we've put in our application and it's being processed. That should be a red flag for them, because it's the same people using different names, because they know at the end of the day they will never meet the requirement.
All right.
They will never meet the requirement.
All right. Thank you so much, Humphrey Irabor, for sharing your thoughts with us on the show today.
Thank you very much. Yeah.